Go to a network exclusive, which is MoneyControl's Bodhisattva Ganguly caught up with Stephen Schwarzman, who's the chairman and CEO of the Blackstone Group. Let's hear him out.
When we decided to come here, we announced that we would put $1 billion in India.
Right.
And people here probably forget that 20 years ago, that was a huge number. And we were on the front pages of all the newspapers. And now, as you say, we're many times what we expected to be, because the country is such a great place to operate. India happens to be our #1 performing market in the world for Blackstone. Our returns here on a gross basis are somewhere around 40% a year, way in excess of any other market. And we've spent our time building businesses in India to make India better. And we foresee being able to double where we are, to have a total exposure of $100 billion at some point in the future. We're rapidly growing here in India. We're the largest foreign company in the country. We're the largest owner of real estate in the country. We're the largest private equity firm here. And we're in all kinds of interesting areas. And we found that operating in India is great, and we're very bullish on the future of the country. I know the stock market's gone down a bit lately.
Right.
Gets people nervous. In 20 years we've been here, this isn't the first time we've seen that. So we look at the fundamentals in the country. You have excellent stability of political leadership. Regulations have gone down from where we started. We see a very vigorous population, a lot of young people, sort of a preference for technology, technology industries. So we are very positive on the country, and it's great to be back.
Thank you. So you're talking about 100 billion of assets under management in India. Over, that is, if you were to double that number.
No, you gave us the right number,
right.
And we think we can grow.
So you are the country's largest landlord. You also have a large presence in the healthcare industry in the recent past. What are the other sectors that you could get into? Would you get into areas like data centers, for instance, or some of the what is referred to here as startups, consumer-enabled internet companies, those kind of areas?
Oh, actually, our biggest exposure here, we'll continue to do more, is in technology.
Right.
And all kinds of expressions of what technology means. So, for example, Blackstone is the #1 developer of data centers in the world. And we're also the #1 owner of data centers. And this is just the start of the data center industry for India. And we can see very substantial growth there as artificial intelligence becomes much more widespread. The growth numbers are stunning in the rest of the world. And off of that base, along with the energy that's needed to power data centers, we would call it energy transition investing, is a big focus here. As you mentioned, healthcare is also important, given the size of the population in India. We have the second largest hospital group in the country.
That's right.
Among other things, and we can see more growth in that area as well.
You worked closely with President Trump, especially in his first term. India is about to negotiate a trade deal with the US. One doesn't know exactly how much time it will take. What would you advise India's political leadership to do? when they approach negotiations with President Trump's administration?
Well, let's just start out. I'm not a government official.
No, of course.
I'm just...
We're very clear about that.
Somebody who knows almost all the people involved with these types of things. First of all, Prime Minister Modi and the President had a very good meeting, which is a great start. And they agreed to have a trade agreement between the two countries.
Right.
And they also made some other mutual understandings, evidently, at that meeting. And so I think that the baseline for India seems to me to be very good. There's a good relationship with the two principals. There's a lot in common. There's a favorable attitude, each country to the other one. And I think you just sort of start with a discussion. Evidently, there's already been a number of adjustments that the two countries have made. So I know there's always a high level of anxiety when anybody brings this subject up. But I think the quality of your leadership in India and the ability to reach agreements should be very good.
Insightful commentary coming in from the top boss at Blackstone. Meanwhile, just keep an eye on a couple of these